What is up? We're here with another retro review, and this time we're talking about the film Super 8. This movie, I discovered this weekend. To my mom, this looked like a scary movie. I don't think it's that scary, but it's a movie that I instantly adore. It has that Spielberg-esque film that J.J. Abrams is kind of um, known for. He's known as a Spielberg protege in a way. Spielberg produced the film. Um, but let's get right into the actual movie itself. Nick, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this film?
I really well, like everything you just said about the Spielberg, it being Spielberg-esque, that's all true. Like as soon as I saw like the main group of kids like riding around town on bikes, I was like, I've seen this before. I've seen this in Stranger Things. I've seen this in It. I was like, I've seen this in numerous E.T. Like they're all pulling from. It's all pulling from those like source material, and you know what? It worked. I really enjoyed it. It hit everything that its source material hit, and it never felt derivative. It felt more like it was paying tribute to, in a way, if that makes sense. Like you have like the disconnected family, you have the presence of a larger than life persona that like ends up bringing everyone together. You kind of have that like sense of wonder, that sense of exploration, but still that sense of danger. Like it hit all the points you would expect from the type of films that it was pulling from. And I think the film was like they maintained like a sense of momentum really well, even though like the first half of the film was really just the kids like shooting their own Super 8 movie. Like even when the military showed up, you weren't really sure what was happening yet. And then when everything does like pick up, like it just all comes together really well.
I think, would it be a hot take to say I'm considering this being better than E.T.?
I don't. It might be a hot take in the sense that ET is really good. I can't say if it's a hot take to me because I have not seen ET in a while. But given the legacy
Yeah.
ET has, it could definitely be seen as a hot take. But also, you got to measure out like nostalgia for the original and like the new film.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna rewatch E.T. this week, and if I still think Super 8 is better, we'll have it. I'll find someone to debate which one's better. I'll find that. But let's get back into it. Some of the performances I think are really great from this film. Um, Elle Fanning, I thought she was fantastic. Like, like kind of next level. Like it for child actors, you always expect the performances to be like good, but they're the few child actors or actresses that just kind of like take it to the next level. And there's a sympathy you feel for her character, like the way she portrays it in her relationship with her dad. Um, that you just like, you're worried for her. You see what she's going through. She's struggling, and you also see this like I'm a kid, right? And this is like doing what I want to do and spending time with my friends. And it brings back like those memories of joys of being like younger and just kind of exploring and maybe being a little bit reckless. Um, and then there's Joel Courtney, who I didn't realize till I looked up on IMDb that that was him. I was like, the kid from the kissing booth? What? That's him? He looks so different. I was like, it can't be the same person. It just can't be.
It really does that to you.
It, it's so nuts. And this is the movie that changed my view on Kyle Chandler. Because I had at least the only film I remember seeing him in was Godzilla. And that movie was a I'm trying to think of a
Hot
nice way
mess.
to put it.
Just say
Yes.
hot mess. Yes, just say
Yes.
it as it is.
The monster stuff, amazing. Especially the one that took place in Boston when I was in a movie theater and they stomped over right where the movie theater would have been, Godzilla did.
Mhm.
I was like, yo, that's pretty sick. Like that was a special moment, and all the monster stuff's great. But I was like, oh, he struggles acting in this. Like, is it him or is it what he's being given?
Mhm.
And this showed me it's what he's being given because I love him as this role as like a police officer who's thrown into leading the department, and he's really struggling to be a father after his wife's passing, and he's blaming it on Elle Fanning's um, father in the film. There's a lot of layers to this character that I think they do really well of unraveling as the film goes on. Um, the way it comes full circle in that last moment with him going after his son after like the whole film not really caring about his kid
Yeah.
and being so emotionally detached. I love that character arc. Like, what really stood out for you about this film from an acting perspective?
I think you touched on it. Elle Fanning was really good. I was surprised that like because I don't know, I feel like they could have been so many ways they could have taken this specific character, but they just hit this natural balance of like wit, of like kind of like loneliness, of like also just like this like wounded person. And I think they and she and Joel Courtney like played off each other like really well. And that they were great. They for me were the standout. I think Kyle Chandler was also good. I'm trying to remember. Even so, I would also even give a shout out to some of Joel Courtney's friends who were like just like goofing around, like getting like just like like just like classic kid dialogue in the background that like that just made me laugh. It was I'm trying to like recall all the people because there's quite a few
Oh, the
that show up.
arsonist, the little kid who's an
Yeah,
arsonist.
like the
That kid's
firework, like
hilarious.
or even like the director who's like trying to like shoot his just just shoot his damn movie. It's kind of like it felt in the vein of Stranger Things and of it. It felt like these are a group of friends, and it feels like there is a lived-in quality to their friendship. And even though Elle Fanning's is like characters like the new persona, like the new person into the group, it still feels like there's this history and just natural quality to all of them. So I will give a shout out to them more so than Kyle Chandler because Kyle Chandler was already like acting for a while back then, but these kids like who looked they were like what a 12, 13, maybe like a
Yeah,
little older. Like
at the most they were 12 or
yeah,
13.
they were so good for their age. I gotta say they were like and they were legitimately good performances. So just shout out to all the kids.
Man, I'm so surprised because there's so many movies with trash special effects and big budgets.
Mhm.
And this movie does a great thing of they hide the monster just for enough that it brings in the suspense, but not for too long where you're like, all right, like this is ridiculous. Like just show us the monster already.
Right,
Because there's some films that just like save it to the very end and then it just feels a little bit anticlimactic.
right,
I feel like this film does it perfectly in how they decide, when to show it, when to not to, how to build suspense. I think how they build suspense in this film is awesome. And I haven't seen District 9 yet, but
mhm,
this film was made for like $45 million, which is a lot of money. But
yeah,
for special effects in like 2011, $45 million for the special effects they used, like that
mhm,
train sequence, that's
yes.
crazy. Like you have $200
I
million films that can't even figure this stuff out.
I made like I was just going through my like top films of 2011. That third act, Super 8's third act might be my favorite out of like there's some just to give you a hint of what else is here. X-Men First Class, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Mission Impossible Ghost Prep, these big action franchises. And Super 8's third act, when like the kids are like running through town, all hell is breaking loose. There's like JJ Abrams' lens flare is like going crazy. There's shot like the tanks are firing everywhere. I was like, this is like a legitimately like great third act because it felt like all you said, like they were holding that suspense and then they kind of like let it all out at that last few minutes. And I love that third act just to see like everything go like crazy. Like that was such a great action piece without being like a classic like action pieces like fight scenes, lots of big explosions. But here just felt just like contained chaos. Like it was just executed really well. I really enjoyed that third act, and also and when it all came together at that final shot of the creature just flying away, I was like top tier. That was a great way to just wrap up everything.
So good. And I love how this movie portrays the alien. Um, you know what? Before we get to there, let's talk about that train sequence
Yeah.
because that train sequence in what is it? It's the first act of
First
the
act.
film.
Yeah, that's basically the
Yeah.
inciting incident.
Yeah. Which comes a little bit late time-wise, but like I'm not complaining because I liked what was up to it. But that whole sequence was amazing.
I'll admit on my part, it stretched a little bit of my disbelief just because I was like, is it plausible for some guy's pickup truck to derail a whole train? But I was also like, visually, this is crazy. And this is like an epic action piece. So I'm like, I'll temper that stretch of belief. But yeah, that train sequence, holy cow. It's a miracle any of them got out alive. Everything was flying everywhere.
Yeah. And that's like and I love how they take it and some of the kids take it like it was really like nothing and like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, let's go back and film there the next day. The whole production value running gimmick
Yeah.
jokes are too funny.
I think as film majors, those jokes hit like a lot more than if it was a normal audience. Because I was like, you're like, we have to get this exactly, like, we have to get this top quality. I was like, oh yeah, that's I understand your pain, my good sir. I understand.
And like trying to direct and like over explaining stuff
Yeah.
and being like, this is exactly where your character's in the mindset. And I love how Elle Fanning's like, I know, like I got this.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Like
That
there's
was that
stuff.
was that was definitely like another like for the way it just kept referencing long time like cinema. That was definitely some sort of in joke. Just to have the character be like, oh yeah, we're shooting a movie, and it's gonna be like movie in a movie type thing. Good job,
It
good job.
it just fits. This whole movie fits together so well.
Mhm.
And I love the inciting is incident. I love how like the whole plot unfolds. The third act with the arsonist being the distraction for the alien and then running away, and of course the alien's going to end up being a sympathetic character, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, no, this alien's been trapped by, they say it's the Navy, but I'm a little confused as to why the Navy's doing that.
Yeah.
Um, but it like the whole idea of us wanting to study it and don't want to release it back to its home. It's like that whole idea of like how we treat foreigners, like that
Mhm.
whole theme of that um, is really interesting in this movie and really compelling. And
Right.
yes, you could say J.J. Abrams is like the king of taking a formula from another movie and
Mhm.
putting it into his own, but I'm fine with that.
It works. It works
Yeah.
in this movie. Like I'll admit I struggled with like feelings of like, is this so is this so much paying tribute that it like loses its own sense of identity? But like I feel like at certain moments it does hit this middle ground of like not being derivative while still being like a direct homage and tribute. And like if we were to judge it without like if like the Spielberg like films didn't like exist, or if we just saw it as a movie, I still think like you said, the screenplay just comes together really well. Everyone's character arcs and whatnot works. The argument that it is derivative only comes up because it is borrowing from a certain thing, but like at the same time, it works on its own on a sheer technical objective level. So I mean, you have to balance that out.
I, it's interesting because J.J. Abrams has this habit, right, of doing that. At least it seems like that. Um, but I think he does a great job, at least in this film specifically. I'm not going to apply it to other films, of paying homage without going over the top. And I think that takes to walk that fine line to carry like that same feeling of a different story and to pay homage to it without being like, oh, he just copy and pasted the storylines, right? And then it just changed the events. Um, I think that takes a ton of skill. And the way this film's directed, I, I think the cinematography is really underrated. Uh, some of the, I, it's a JJ thing. JJ is amazing at finding these shots that are just kind of next level. Um, I love this film. I love like everything about this film. I love Riley Griffith's character, um, Charles, the director. He's too like every time I just think of him, it's too funny, the way he interacts with people. Um, I don't know. I just love this movie. So Nick, do you want to wrap up with your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think because just after checking Letterboxd, J.J. Abrams has really only directed 6 films. It was Mission Impossible 3, Star Trek, Star Trek Into Darkness, this film, and then Star Wars: The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. And it's just really interesting because Super 8 is the one film out of all of those that could be considered an original idea.
Yeah.
And you know, like I think this might, honest to God, might be my favorite Abrams film alongside the first Star Trek. Like it just works well. It looks well. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It hits the points it needs to. I mean, again, the argument it could be derivative is like it's an easy argument to make, but I really enjoyed this film. This was a film that I feel I could watch at any point. Summer, winter. It's just a good old fashioned like adventure tale in the way of The Goonies or Stand by Me.
Right. Yeah, I'd say it's his best film.
Mhm.
Not by far, maybe by far. And it's not that I dislike J.J. Abrams at all. It's just I like this film that much.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but overall, those are our thoughts on Super 8. It's definitely worth checking out. It's a fantastic film. Um, Go out, watch it. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below of the film. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.